Assalamu alaikum everyone. Welcome to lesson 6 of our Arabic alphabet series. Today we're learning the letter Ha. Ha, the sixth letter in the Arabic alphabet. This is the letter Ha and it's identical to the Jim, right? Except that it has no dot. So now we can see why placing that dot in the center of the Jim or beneath that J-shaped portion is very important because it enables us to distinguish between these two letters. So if you've mastered the Jim, then the Ha is going to be extremely easy because it's written the exact same way, right? So again, we want to draw this top portion that's shaped like the top portion of a J or even the number 7, right? And we want to write this from left to right here, like so, and then transition into a C shape. The letter Ha represents a very breathy H sound, right? Ha, ha. Ha. The sound is being produced by exhaling from the back of the throat, right? And it's very similar to, if you've ever had a cold drink, like a cold Sprite or something on a really hot day, right? After that first sip, that's that type of H sound that you're getting from the Ha. It's literally from the same place, right? So it's not heavy. It's not from the diaphragm. It's very airy. It's very breathy. And you're exhaling from the back of the throat. So even though there is no English letter that produces the equivalent of this sound, right? It's very easy for us to make because many of us have done it effortlessly, right? Like the example of that first sip of a drink on a hot summer day, right? Or maybe at some point, right? You've checked your breath, right? It's that type of airy, breathy from the back of the throat, exhaling H type sound. Now let's see the different forms of the letter Ha when written in a word. You can download this Arabic alphabet chart as well as the worksheets to follow along with me and practice your writing for free using the link below. So we see here again the Ha in its base form, right? Identical to the Jim, right? So if you've mastered the Jim, you have this down pat. So again, we want to draw this top portion that looks like the number 7 here, transition into a C, and also keep in mind here the positioning of the Ha as well as the Jim, right? It's not the same positioning as the Alif, right? It's a much lower letter. And we can see that half of this curved portion, right? Half of this C shape is beneath the bottom line, right? So very important to keep in mind. Let's draw this one more time, right? This top of the J or 7 shape into a C, this top of a J or 7 shape into a C, right? This is the Ha in its base form. And then we see the letter Ha at the beginning, right? Again, identical to the Jim. All we've done is we've cut off the bottom half of that curve shape, that hook shape, and we've extended it out to the left for the letter after to have something to connect to, right? So again, the top of this J or 7 type shape, and we extend this tail, the top of this J or 7 type shape from left to right, and then we extend this tail, again from left to right, this top J or 7 type shape, and then we extend this tail, right? And in the middle of a word, right, the Ha in its medial form, we can see again the exact same as the Jim, but without the dot, right? So again, we have this portion that connects from the right side, which is this tail that extends from the letter to the right. And then we basically just take this initial form and attach it to this tail, right? So we draw this tail for the Jim to connect to from right to left. And then we attach this initial form, right? This 7 type shape that we extend the tail for. And again, we draw this tail that extends from right to left. Then we draw this 7 or J type shape and extend this tail out so that the letter to the left has something to connect to, right? So let's write this one more time. Again, we have this tail that extends out from the letter to the right. And then we basically just take the Ha as it is in its initial form, right? In its beginning form, right? So we draw this 7 shape and extend out to the left. And at the end of a word, the Ha looks like this, right? So again, identical to the Jim, just without the dot in the C-shaped portion, right? It's very similar to the base form of the Ha, except that we have this little tail right here that extends from the letter to the right, right? Because the Ha in its end form only connects to letters from the right, not from the left. right? So all we're doing is we're using this tail from the letter before to the right, and we're connecting the ha in its base form to it. And that looks like this here, right? So we have the tail of that letter from the right, and then we just draw that 7 shape right into a C, right? And again, we have that tail from the letter to the right. We draw this 7 shape right into a C, right? And again, we have this tail from the letter to the right. We draw this 7 shape straight into a C, right? And this is the ha in its end form, right? Very simple, very straightforward, especially if you've mastered the Jim. So let's take a look at how the letter ha looks when it's connected to other letters within a word. And we see this very common word here that you've probably heard, hamd, hamd. And you'll notice here the ha at the beginning of the word, right? So this is the ha in its beginning form, right? In its initial form. And we see that it doesn't have that C-shaped portion beneath, right? It's just that small 7-shaped portion, or that top of a J-shaped portion. And then we extend the tail out to the left side of the letter so that the letters after have something to connect to. And let's take a look at a very common name that many of you have definitely heard, Muhammad. Muhammad. And we see here the ha in its medial form, right? There's a letter before and a letter after the ha. And this is a key attribute of the ha as well as the jim, right? In their medial form, they connect to letters from the right and the left. And they only connect from the right side when they're placed at the end of a word. And another quick note, it's identical to the jim, except that it's without a dot, right? And this dot is the distinguishing quality between the two. Don't forget to practice writing the letter ha in all of its different forms, and also try to recognize it in the Quran as well as other Arabic texts. Join me in the next lesson for the letter kha.